Hey folks, I'm attorney Roger P. Foley, and as I drive to work this morning over to the courthouse, thinking about some articles that I've seen over the weekend, some little news blogs where Donald Trump says that he's going to be arrested by a Manhattan state attorney. I don't know, some guy. I don't know his name. And as an attorney, without really delving into research, I'm going, what? So in the articles I read, again, I haven't done a lot of research. I kind of glanced just to see if someone would put it out there, but I'm like, well, Donald Trump ain't paying my bill. So I got to put the research of my actual clients before I look at that. But what it seems like is there was this porn actress, Stormy Daniels, and we've all heard that name because right around the election or a week or two before the election in 2016 when Donald Trump was elected, we started hearing this name and hush money and the guy Michael Cohen, I think that was his attorney, and a check for $130,000, and it's hush money for her not to talk about it. And everyone went, okay, and some federal prosecutors looked at it, and some state prosecutors looked at it, and apparently, again, I don't know, I'm not in the know, they didn't bring it, right? They didn't bring those charges, and the word, at least through the media, but who knows, is that they didn't think that there was enough evidence of a crime. And then I've heard some allegations that they're trying to make a misdemeanor into a felony. And I'm not a New York attorney, but I'm like, what misdemeanor? Right? So again, I'm looking at like Yahoo and CNN and Fox and just the different news organizations that kind of put out a little bit of information. It doesn't seem like anyone puts anything substantive. Like, they don't bring on lawyers that would say, like New York lawyers that would say, based on this statute, and these are the elements of the statute, this is what the state would have to prove, these are the allegations, and on its face, does it look like it has enough? Do they have some information that the public doesn't know about and maybe they're sitting on? Because in the course of any kind of criminal investigation, they usually don't share information with the public or attorneys or anybody. So what I could gather from the news reports that I read a couple, maybe 3 or 4, and looked up on YouTube to see if there was anything, my source for news. What the allegation is that Donald Trump used his attorney, Michael Cohen, to pay off this woman. And there was some sort of agreement, right? There was a written agreement to not discuss anything or to not go public. Now, just that agreement itself, I get it. It tends to lend credibility to the fact that Donald Trump and this woman had some sort of relationship. On its surface, that's what it appears to be. But someone who's looked at a lot of contracts in their life, let me ask you guys this. If you were a billionaire and you were about to become president and you didn't want to answer questions about an alleged relationship with a porn star, whether they were true or not, would you pay to stifle the story, to stop the story from happening? Would you pay that person, hey, look, the news is going to do it, I don't know what, the Inquirer or something, the news is going to, I don't know, is the Inquirer the news? I don't think I've ever read the Inquirer, but the Inquirer is going to give $120,000. Listen, we'll give you $130,000. Let's just call it a day, and you agree not to talk about it again. Is that possible? I'm not giving it my belief. I'm just asking you if it's possible. That's like the first prong of how I'm analyzing it. And I'm not saying what side I'm on. I'm just thinking out loud. So that's the first thing that I would look at. The second thing I would look at is that in itself illegal? If someone is going to make allegations, whether they are true or false, let's assume that they're true. They're going to make allegations. Can you have a contract, an agreement that will say, hey, I'm going to give you this much money, you kind of move on. You don't say what you're going to say, whether it's true or not true. Again, let's assume it's true. We had a relationship, and I really appreciate it if you don't talk about it. There you go. Well, those kinds of contracts are done all the time, aren't they? Aren't there contracts that don't do something, do something, and there's a monetary exchange? Okay. Maybe not in that case. I don't know. I've never had a contract like that as an attorney, but my understanding is that there are contracts like that. I mean, contracts can be for payment of services or to not do something as well, right? I think it goes to both sides, but again, I don't know that answer. I haven't researched it, but that's where my mind goes. So now, the allegation, at least what we're reading in the news, is that Michael Cohen, the attorney who is now a convicted felon and doesn't have a bar license, and it's going to be hard if he's the star witness. If there's a star witness, a convicted felon who did something unethical, can that be used to impeach him? Yes. But he was his attorney, so who else would know? So it could be very believable in that perspective, right? You might be able to impeach him, but is your fact finder, your jury, are they going to go, hey, he knows. What reason does he have to lie right now? What does he get out of it? He's not getting a check. He's disbarred. But I think there'd be some defense arguments that he's disgruntled and because he did something or whatever he did or whatever he admitted to, but he admitted that he did something wrong and he became a convicted felon and did some prison for it. So I don't know, but allegedly the attorney Cohen pays her, takes out an equity loan or something, a credit loan on his property or something, and gives this woman, Stormy Daniels, 130 G's. Well, is it likely that he did it for some other reason? I don't know. I guess that would be up to the defense. But it seems, right, at least logically, that there's an argument that Cohen asked his attorney to do something, and he did it. Again, that's what Cohen, I think, is going to testify to. I think that's what he said in previous sworn statements. So where's the illegal part? That's the part that I'm trying to figure out. So then you read a little longer, and they say that somehow it is related to a election violation. Well, an election violation, it's a federal election, right? I don't know, it's for the presidency of the United States, but maybe there's something, and I don't know election law, maybe there's something that each state could do if there was some sort of fraud or something illegal in the election process. Okay, so what's illegal? Well, again, I'm only reading some articles, 3 or 4, and it said something about, I think the maximum campaign contribution could be $2,500. So again, I'm making leaps here because I don't know. I'd like for someone in the know in New York to explain this. But are they saying that Cohen gave money to help Trump with the election, and that amount of money that he gave him was $130,000, which he later got repaid back, but he put that money out to Stormy Daniels to somehow advance the possibility that he would get elected? Well, I see the argument, right, that they're making. Did he advance money for the purpose of getting Donald Trump elected? I don't know. I see the indirect, but did you give a porn star 130 bucks, 130 grand to help him get elected? Or did you give her 130 grand not to listen to her ramble? That's another argument. I don't know the answer, but I think that the connection that, again, when I was looking at some of the New York media, they were saying that something about an election contribution, and that would be fraud, and that's something that they could bring Donald Trump up on, and they could indict him on that. I'm curious what you guys think. I haven't really delved into it, so I'm very cursory, very I'm thinking about this at a very simplistic level. And then I thought about the argument, well, this is from 2016, right? We are in 2023, right? So let's think of a felony crime I do a lot of felony cases, right? So what felony crime, let's say that Donald Trump is guilty. Let's just go with that assumption that he did something illegal. I'm not sure that they can prove that, but let's go with their thought and say, hey, it was illegal. He committed a crime. What felony crime, other than like a molestation, a rape, a murder, right? Like a first degree felony, one of the felonies that are 30 years to life, that kind of thing, at least in Florida. What crimes are someone alleged to have committed other than those crimes that are prosecuted 8 years later? And doesn't that bring into question the validity of it? Someone made a comment and they said, well, that's a sign that the priorities in New York are messed up. And I'm a prior New Yorker, right? So that they're messed up because there's a high crime spree. There's a lot of crime in New York. There's a lot of issues in New York. And this issue for this prosecutor, according to a quote, is his number one priority. I don't know. Just that's another thing that makes you go, Again, I'm not saying I'm left. I'm not saying I'm right. I'm just trying to focus in on the argument. And I wish someone, listen, if someone watches this and directs me towards the spelled out argument, maybe by an attorney or prosecutor or someone, that has legal information, I'd like to look at what statutes they're talking about, because again, I don't know what they mean by, well, they're trying to make a misdemeanor charge a felony. What's the misdemeanor charge to start off with, right? What are the elements of that crime? What are the jury instructions on that crime? And then take aside what is the felony that they're trying to turn it into. Again, that's an allegation. Maybe they have a felony, but whatever it is, what are the possible charges? I'm just surprised that the media hasn't put that out. Like, hey, this is the actual crime. And maybe I missed it, or maybe the 3 or 4 articles that I looked at didn't point it out. But maybe after court I'll take a look. But anyway, I'm attorney Roger P. Foley. It's it's the morning ramble as I drive to the office. But I was just curious. Maybe please leave comments. Let me know your thoughts. I'm curious what people think about this. I don't know what to think yet, because I don't really have any information, but maybe you do, or maybe you're more observant in the news. I barely watch the news. I watch Netflix, a movie. I might watch a comedy special. I read my cases and I go to work. So I'm pretty simple. I don't have the up-to-date information that you may have. So if you do, share it. I'm attorney Roger P. Foley. Thanks for listening.